be the next king.
What? No.
No?
Don't mess this up for me, David. I get to be a princess.
I'm just a shepherd. We already have a king.
We will crush your kingdom.
Those are fighting words. Bring out Goliath!
Good evening and welcome to Good News on Entertainment. I'm Carley Boyette. Tonight's show is all about the animated musical David, as it finally is coming to theaters December 19th. This is the latest from Angel Studios in partnership with Sunrise Studios. And let me tell you, between the animation, the story, and the music, this film is a must-watch for both kids and adults. Among the many beautiful voices you will hear featured in this musical, chances are you're going to recognize Grammy-nominated music artist Phil Wickham as the voice behind David. He is phenomenal. Tonight, we will hear from both the directors on this project, Brent Dawes and Phil Cunningham. Brent has spent over 2 decades as the creative lead at Sunrise Animation Studios in South Africa. Phil is the one who founded Sunrise with his wife, Jackie, 25 years ago. Before we hear more about what went into making this extraordinary film, let's go ahead and take a closer look at David.
When the sheep scatter, a shepherd is who they need.
That'll teach you to mess with my sheep.
Are you going to sing or what?
Follow the light.
Get out!
The king's love of the crown has consumed him. David, are you ready to be the next king?
What? No.
No?
Don't mess this up for me, David. I get to be a princess.
I'm just a shepherd. We already have a king.
We will crush your kingdom.
Those are fighting words. Bring out Goliath!
This fight I've always followed when I'm looking for the way.
He's huge.
Searching for the answer in the moments I'm afraid.
Yep, we're dead.
If you want the secret of freedom and feeling alive.
I told you.
He's brave. He is true. No.
He's so humble too.
Come on and follow the light.
David, you have stolen the hearts of my people.
I have never wanted the throne.
Lies!
What happens now? You stolen David. Fight to the death.
I never asked for this.
The true battle is not against flesh and blood, but in our hearts.
I'm a shepherd. What can I do but look after my sheep?
Come on and follow the light.
Congratulations.
Thank
Job well done. I know this was a labor of love, I'd imagine, all these years. And we're here. It's finally time.
It's amazing. Thank you for having us on the show. We really appreciate it.
I can't wait to tell everybody about this. They need to go see it. I told you before we got started, my 6-year-old, because of what I do, we got a little a sneak peek of it. My 6-year-old has asked to watch it every single day.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. That's awesome.
So, this movie could have been so easily just a film about David and Goliath. There's enough there. There's enough substance, I think, to maybe just kind of do it around the core of that story.
No.
This film is so much more than that. Talk a little bit about the intent and the purpose kind of around that and showing a little bit. And I kept telling my 6-year-old, like, this isn't even, the full story of even David either.
Yeah, that's such a great question. Very quickly to dive into that, the idea for this film, the vision for this film started 30 years ago. I was canoeing down a river called the Zambezi River. You could canoe for 4 days, 5 nights, wouldn't see a human being. And just looking up at the thunderstorms, the stars, the elephant, the buffalo, the lion, I just fell in love with God. He's like this beautiful, adventurous heart of God, this joy, this kindness, this beauty. And I was reading David's story. I found in David, son of Jesse, a man after my own heart, it says in the book of Acts. And I was like, wow, if we could tell a story on David's life, it'll give us a glimpse of God's heart. Like, it's almost like an on-ramp onto God's heart. And that's where it started 30 years ago. We won't have time to go through the whole story, but that was at the heart of it. And David, the story that we're telling goes from when David's a shepherd boy through to when he's king. And there's a couple of quick facets I'll mention. The one is David, as we know, is a flawed human being like all of us. But what I love about him is when he's happy, he tells God. When he's fearful, he tells God. When he's confused, he just says it out. Like you've seen the movie, one of the songs is "Why God?" He's not scared just to say it out. And I just love that childlike faith he's got, that no matter where he's at, if he's stuck up a tree or wherever he's, he can call out to his dad and ask for help. And so I think that's what I hope people get out of the movie. It's like, wow, you can relate to God like that. That's incredible, So that's one aspect. And I just think that's beautiful and can hopefully people, as they watch the movie, they can draw on that. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing I loved, which we briefly hinted at before we, hit record here, is really it's a love story. You could have done, there's a lot of different love stories in David's life.
Yeah.
But the one that's really highlighted here that I think families are going to love is between him and his mom. Yeah. And the encouragement that the mom gives him, which I think is such an example as a mom watching the film, is like, man, I want to be like her. And I want to encourage my kids to have, that love of God. And even when we don't have things all figured out, there's a beautiful song about that as well. Man, it just spoke to me. I love that. I'm so glad that there's that story angle in there.
Yeah. And just to speak to that, a lot of it came from my own mother. She was an incredible person. So is my father, but just talking about her for a moment. She was so inspirational. When we were 16, 14 years old, she'd say, Phil, by your age, David was fighting Goliath. Daniel was in the lion's den. You need to get out there and have an adventure and trust God. I was like, she was really amazing how she inspired us. And then I was reading in the Psalms about where David says, I serve you as my mother did. He literally talks about his mother at that moment, which is really interesting to me. And we know his great-grandmother was Ruth. And I was like, wow, so often in movies, moms are given this very stereotypical corner where it's like the protective version of a mom. And of course, a mom has to be protective. You look at a lioness with her cubs, protective. But there's so much more. And I was just thinking, I wanted to make a movie which celebrated mothers and their relationship with their sons and daughters. And I just thought, it's authentic. David loved his mom. It's clear in the Psalms. She obviously had a huge impact on his life. And I just thought, how cool if we can tell a movie that really celebrates moms and the amazing role they play in the world, and on the earth. And I think this movie does that, which I'm excited about. Yeah.
Let's talk about the music in it too. And she's as good as Phil Wickham is. And man, I'm so excited. Man, when he comes in and his voice comes in, it's just amazing. But talk about David's mom too. The voices between both of the characters, the voice actors behind those. What an amazing cast and talent you have with such epic music.
Thank you. And we were just saying, if they could make a musical, The Greatest Showman, on P.T. Barnum's life, shame on us if we can't make a great musical on David's life. We know he wrote half the Psalms. He's an amazing songwriter and musician himself, So when we went to cast, we weren't looking for marketing power. We were looking for the most beautiful voice to fit that character. And to speak about David's mom in the movie, it's a lady called Miri Masika from Israel. She's super famous in Israel. Really uber famous. We didn't know this, by the way. We just did the audition and we're like, that's David's mom. That's the voice we're looking for. And when she got you, she said, my daughter said, I'm sure the only reason they got you is because you're famous. I said, we didn't even know you were famous. so then she was delighted.
That's a bad thing, right? It was meant for her to have that.
Yeah. And same with Phil Wickham, and by the way, what a wonderful, all of our cast were amazing to work with. But just to speak about him, we found out that a lot of singers can't act. We actually auditioned a lot of singers, and there's not many singers who can act, and there's not many actors who can sing. But Phil had this amazing ability to translate from being a singer into an actor. But most importantly, he brought this beautiful spirit that we were looking for, a spirit of humility and adventure and fun. And that's when we heard his voice, like, that's what we need. So it wasn't, the whole casting process was the right voice for the right character, not about marketing. It so happens, of course, Phil's great at helping us market the movie, but that's not why he's in the movie. It's because he is David.
One of the things I love about the film too, you have this other series right now, House of David, that's doing really well. And I think this movie does the same thing. It's going to get people interested in, again, learning more about David's life and about all the different chapters and things that he went through. That's pretty amazing that we can do that through an animated film.
Yeah. And on that note, Phil Wickham was actually telling me in the one screening he did, there was a little boy in front of him, and he turned to his mom. He said, "Is all that in the Bible?" So he was like so excited to go read the Bible after that, which I think is cool. And on that note, one thing we were super passionate about was, if you take comic book fans, you can't take Superman's cape and put it on Spider-Man. Your comic book fans will get upset. How much more the faith community? You can't just take a Bible story and just mix and match it how you like. We really want it to be built on the foundation of the Bible and the real story, and then you build off that, not just go and create your own version, and so that's one thing we tried to do with the David movie. Of course, we had to condense it, but we really wanted it to be true and authentic to Scripture, not just go off on our own mission. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned The Greatest Showman, and I really, like, when I got finished watching this, I thought, we need this on Broadway. Like,
yes.
This is just so perfect. I can picture the costumes, the design, the set, the music. I mean, it's right there. I feel like this would be the easiest thing to get started.
Yeah, and I love that you say that, because that's in my heart and in my mind. If you talk about The Lion King, and so this is about the reach. I mean, I think The Lion King Broadway musical, it's done way more than the movie ever did financially, and that's not the point. But it shows you how many people have watched The Lion King Broadway musical. And in my mind, if the movie does well, it's obviously the movie's got to do well first. But then, how awesome would it be to translate into a Broadway musical? I think it would be amazing.
All signs are pointing that way. I'm just so excited about the future and where God is going to take this thing.
Thank you. Yeah, we're so excited. And when we watched his faithfulness over 30 years and just like so many setbacks, but just he's been so faithful to keep the movie and reach this point. Yeah.
One of my favorite things to hear from filmmakers, because again, I hear it all the time. It's just a miracle that anything ever gets finished and done, because it's so hard, to get these projects together. Where did you see God really show up, and maybe his faithfulness really kind of illuminate for you in getting this particular film done?
Sure, there's so many examples, but I'll just try to pull off a macro picture on that. If you look at Joseph, he has this dream, and then he goes to slavery and to prison. That's God's plan, to get him to his dream. You look at Moses, he has this calling, and he's off to the desert for 40 years. You look at David, he has an anointing, he's off to the wilderness for 7 years. So what I learned through it was, God gives you this dream, this calling, this anointing. Don't be surprised if he takes you into a wilderness or a desert for a while. And what he's doing is beautiful. I think he's genuinely building real humility, real faith in him. And it's such a beautiful time in the wilderness, actually, because out of that comes real humility. So if I look back over the 30 years, I see all the setbacks as actually part of God's tapestry, part of his plan. It's not an accident. And for people who are listening, if you're going through that, I just really want to encourage you. It's got a plan. And if you had a dream, you'll get there. God will get you to your dream. But sometimes you've got to go through the wilderness to learn humility,
Amen. It's so true. Yeah. So what's next for you? I mean, do you want to kind of stay in this vein? I mean, do you even have time to kind of look ahead? I mean, I know a lot of people you're planning years out.
100%. So, I mean, I love cinema. I love the scale of cinema. And so that's one thing. I love animation because it's got this power to cross race, cultural, age, and gender barriers just so incredibly. So we've got 3 movies we're developing. One is an allegorical movie, like, C.S. Lewis did the Narnia series, that's allegorical. And then the other one is another Bible story, which we haven't got it financed yet, but we're in development of an Esther story. And I just think it's such an amazing story with a heroine, which I love. And you've got your classic villain. Yes, all animation. Yeah. So I'm trying to really stay focused on animated feature films. I just love animation, love the cinema, and want to tell big stories, like that. And I'll say one quick thing on that note, if you've got a second. Walking through Paris with my wife, Jackie, I was looking up at the Arc de Triomphe, at the scale of it, the attention to detail. It was just amazing, and how it stands out in the city of Paris. You've got all these office blocks and factories. And I was saying, as filmmakers, we can churn money and make like office blocks or factories, or we can make Arc de Triomphes. And I think, so that's my heart, is to make animated feature films that are like Arc de Triomphes, that really take a long time to make, but hopefully they stand out and stand the test of time as well. Yeah.
Well, and this is why I love what I do. And I'm so excited to be in the space I am now, because I say this all the time. If we're going to represent Christ and be ambassadors for Christ in the entertainment space, it needs to be to the best of the ability and quality that we can.
So I'm so passionate about the quality, because I mean, Christian filmmaking is really improving. But when I first started out 30 years ago, I was like, oh my goodness, so much of it's so bad. and
it's not their fault. You know, I mean, I don't want to ever knock anyone for that being their heart and their passion. But it's time, I think. We're here now, finally.
Step up and do our best, you know, and that's what I'm excited about. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the next couple of weeks as we celebrate this film finally coming out. And like you said, it's been so many years in the making, and I'm excited to see what God's going to do with it from here.
Thank you so much. And I really appreciate you hosting us and chatting with us. Thank you.
When the shadows come, we won't run from the fight. Come on and follow the light.
So tell me, I guess let's start from the beginning. And when you jumped on to this project, obviously you're one of the writers, the directors. So tell me when you kind of came to hear about this story, or tell me a little bit more from your perspective from the beginning.
Sure. So I've been working at Sunrise Animation Studios for the last 25 years. So this is home for me. And Phil Cunningham, who is the owner of the studio, has had a dream to tell the story of David for over 30 years. He was going to do it at some point as a live action, but he had the idea through his wife and one of the producers to do it as an animation. And this was 11 years ago. And that's when he said to me, he's like, Brent, what do you think of David as an animation? And as he said it to me, it made sense to me. I understood it. I was like, I can see that movie. And he's like, okay, go. He said, write it. And so it's been 11 years since I was asked to first put my hand to the typewriter and start writing. So 2014, that's when it started for me. Yeah.
So did you write the storyline as well as the songs and the music in it? How does that work as a writer?
So I wrote the story, the script, and within that,
was it always going to have music in it from the beginning?
It was, because and that was something that was wonderful about making an animation. The fact that we could lean into the poetic side of David. You know, he is a songwriter, David. Like, that's actually how he came to know Saul. He came to play for Saul to soothe his spirits, you know. So there's a real story reason that they're singing. And right from the get-go, we knew that it was going to be a musical. And I loved that from a storytelling point of view, that there was justification within the story. It wasn't that characters just burst into life singing. He actually sang a song to Saul, and therefore there's a song in the movie. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Well, and it does flow very nicely from, you know, because I think some musicals can do that. All of a sudden you break out into song, but because it was so much of who David is, it is woven so beautifully in the story with how he even speaks and how the rest of the characters speak to each other, almost kind of through song.
It was very intentional, and it was very, as I was writing, we put a song where it felt like David would be singing. Do you know what I mean? And we didn't force any fits. Like, I remember, like, in writing, you often have to let things go. There was a beautiful song that was written by Chad and Ryan, a writing pair of ours. Beautiful, that David was going to sing in the cave. But it wasn't moving the story forward, so I had to let that go. And it's like, oh, it's so sad. So I'm hoping that comes out at some point.
So tell me, one of my favorite things to hear from filmmakers is, you know, how God shows up. It's so hard to get movies done. It's so hard. I mean, there's all these little pieces that have to work together. We, you know, hinted at a little bit when we got started, you know, the journey that this film has taken to actually get out there. How did you kind of see God show up and kind of know that, all right, God's hands are on this and we've got to kind of surrender that to him, just as David surrenders his life. I know you have to do that with projects like these.
Yeah, it took so Phil is very much like David. He's like full of adventure, full of spirit. And I've found that in working with Phil, when he catches a vision, you just tuck in behind and we go. But we all had to have our own faith for this project because we all faced our own hard and our own challenges. But I can say, like, as a very clear one, the first step we took after writing the first script was we wanted to do a proof of concept, show that we could do this sort of animation. So we needed to make a demo, 5 minutes of this. But that's a pricey thing to do at this level. And Phil didn't have the money for that. So he was talking to someone else, wonderful businesswoman and investor that he was dealing with. And she was trying to help him raise the money. Everyone that she spoke to said no. And it was at a point where we weren't going to be able to move forward. And she got a phone call, which was the last no. She was driving in her car, and she said she heard an audible voice in the back of her car that said, I want you to do it. And she looked behind her, and she didn't, no one was there. She said God told her, and she said she phoned Phil immediately then. She said, I've got the money, you can go ahead. And she then got home and told her husband, she said, by the way, we're investing in a movie. And it certainly, there's been so many stories like that where it feels like God has wanted this movie to be made now, and its time has come, and nothing was going to stop it. Many things have tried, let me tell you, but there's been many battles along the way. But I think it's been really forged in fire, and people will feel that. They'll feel that this is not a light movie to have been made. People have poured themselves into it. I'm hoping you felt that when you watched it. There's a richness and a depth to it, which, I've never been involved in something where people have poured themselves into it and done so willingly. It's been incredible.
Well, and we have to mention too, and I'm assuming it's kind of a late ad. Again, I know that this film kind of got distributed into a couple different people's hands. People wanted this film. But the addition of Phil Wickham, which at least I didn't know of until recently. I mean, when he comes in and and all the voices are amazing in this, but there is something that's just really cool about having Phil a part of this. Speak on that.
It's been fantastic. And within that, I love that we've got Phil, but Phil didn't come in as a celebrity. He came in as as in his own words, he had a childhood dream when he was 8 to voice an animated character, So he came in to me as an 8-year-old boy, just excited to do this thing that he's always dreamed of. And so I loved that. I loved that it wasn't a marketing decision. It was we need to find the right voice for David. And Phil Wickham himself, when he came in, he's like, guys, I'm for this project. I'm behind you guys. If you don't use me, I'm still good. I'm still going to be first in line. I love the project and I want to be there. So it was just so wonderful working with him because he came with such a servant heart, such a heart.
And that's who he is. I've had a chance to talk with him a couple times over and that's who he is. You can tell that that's where his heart is, and you want that for somebody to play that role.
Absolutely. So he was a student and so willing, and therefore I was able to work with him, because he listened and he was hungry. And so it was just incredible. And it helps that he's pretty well known and a pretty successful singer because it's helping get the word out there. But that wasn't the reason,
Well, hey, as we wrap up here, what's your take home? What do you hope when people leave the theater? What do you hope that stays with them for families? I'm so excited for this to be released.
Yeah, when we were writing it, when we were making it, Phil and I were one of the key things we wanted to do was be careful to not try and preach at anyone. We didn't want to try and force a message because we're human. What do we know? But we trusted that we would be led to tell a story that would meet people where they are. So I really feel that the story has got a depth and a richness beyond what we even know is there. And my hope is that each person that watches it is met where they are in their life and they walk out feeling either challenged, convicted, inspired, moved, in one way or another. So may it speak to you where you are, and that would be my hope.
Again, David will officially be in theaters December 19th. Tickets are already on sale. And by the way, the musical has already earned $3 million in pre-sale tickets in just 3 weeks, which is the highest in Angel's history. We pray that momentum continues. Go to angel.com/David for theater times near you. I hope you enjoyed tonight's show. I'm Carley Boyette, and I look forward to seeing you next week right here on your Christian Television Network.
Come on and follow the light. If there's one thing that I know, I am nothing but a man with the heart of a lion and the spirit of a lamb. Every battle that I've won, every giant that I've faced, I have never been alone, even on my darkest day. If you want the secret of freedom and feeling alive, you gotta follow the light. Follow the light. Feel the rushing wind as you're running into the wild. We'll see the sun rise out of the ash as we hold nothing back. When the shadows come, we won't run from the fight. So come on and follow the light. Come on and follow the light. Come on and follow the light. One step, one leap of faith. Letting go is all it takes. Running with the one who hears your voice and makes the mountain shake. When you can't see the road, there's a fire in your soul. Trust and let it guide you.